In the heart of Africa, something extraordinary is unfolding. A vision once confined to sci-fi novels and futurist documentaries is now a living, breathing reality. It's not a tech utopia built by Silicon Valley, not a Scandinavian smart city backed by centuries of infrastructure. It's a wireless revolution rising from the very soul of Africa. We stepped foot into Africa's first fully wireless city, and what we witnessed defied everything we thought we knew about innovation, connectivity, and the pace of global development. At first glance, the city looks like any modern urban landscape. Clean boulevards, glass buildings glistening under the sun, trees and green spaces harmoniously woven between advanced architecture. But the magic isn't in what you can immediately see, it's in what you can't. Beneath the surface of everyday life, an invisible force connects everything, and we mean everything. No cables, no wires, no outdated infrastructure. Just pure, seamless wireless energy and data flow powering an entire civilization. The moment we arrived, we noticed the absence of common annoyances. No overhead power lines, no tangled mess of communication cables, no traffic jams caused by utility maintenance. It felt cleaner, smoother, smarter. We watched as autonomous electric buses glided through intersections without drivers. Not a single traffic light in sight. Instead, the vehicles communicate wirelessly with each other, with buildings, and with the city's traffic systems in real time. No horns, no delays. Just a silent, coordinated ballet of machines that somehow felt more human than our cities back home. Our guide explained that the entire transportation system is wirelessly charged. Yes, you heard that right. Underneath the roads are embedded wireless charging pads that continuously power vehicles as they move. These roads, dubbed energy lanes, are revolutionizing public and private transport. Buses, taxis, delivery drones, all powered wirelessly and monitored via AI-powered smart grids. Homes are even more impressive. Not just smart homes, adaptive homes. Each house is equipped with sensors that monitor weather, security, energy use, water supply, and even air quality. If the air becomes too dry, the system automatically humidifies the interior. If you leave a window open and it starts to rain, it closes on its own. The most astonishing part? The power source. Most homes run on decentralized wireless energy harvested from ambient frequencies emitted by central city transmitters and clean energy towers. We visited a local cafe and were stunned to see that even cooking appliances were wirelessly powered. No plugs, no sockets, just contactless power from the table to your device. Phones charge automatically as you sit down. The coffee maker, the toaster, the blender, all powered through localized wireless nodes embedded in the floor and walls. Education here has been transformed too. Schools are equipped with holographic learning systems where students interact with 3D models floating mid-air. Classrooms are virtual as much as they are physical. And here's the kicker. Students use paper-thin, flexible display tablets connected to a citywide cloud server. No need for hard drives or USBs. Everything updates in real time. But the real shock came when we visited the central command center, a sleek, glass-paneled hub operating 24/7 with only a handful of staff. The entire city runs on an AI-driven platform that tracks energy consumption, water usage, waste output, and citizen movement patterns, all anonymously, of course. The AI doesn't just monitor, it optimizes. It reroutes water to where it's needed most. It redirects power from less active zones to areas with higher demand. It even predicts maintenance before a single fault occurs. Healthcare here is radically different. We were shown wireless biometric stations scattered throughout the city in malls, metro stations, even parks. Citizens can walk up, scan their hands, and instantly get their vital stats. That data gets uploaded to their personal health cloud, accessible by any doctor in the system. Need a consultation? Just enter a telehealth booth, and a doctor, human or AI, responds within seconds. Security is non-invasive and yet astonishingly effective. We didn't see police patrols or cameras mounted on every corner. Instead, the city uses an AI surveillance system that monitors public safety wirelessly through movement recognition, sound detection, and even atmospheric sensors. It's not about watching people, it's about understanding environmental patterns to detect when something is off. As night fell, the city transformed again. The streets glowed with ambient lighting powered wirelessly by solar-charged microgrids. Buildings adapted their color tones based on weather conditions and pedestrian flow. In the central plaza, a digital art show lit up the skyline generated in real time by community-submitted visuals. People here are not just users of the system, they are co-creators. Residents have access to a dashboard where they can suggest changes, vote on city-wide initiatives, or even propose improvements to public services. Governance itself is becoming wireless and direct, cutting through red tape with real-time civic participation. We asked one of the engineers how all this came to be. He told us it started with a single idea: what if Africa didn't follow the old way? What if we didn't copy Europe or America's legacy infrastructure, but leaped ahead to something entirely new? That question sparked years of innovation, experimentation, and international collaboration. African scientists, engineers, and visionaries worked together to rethink what a city could be when no wires, literal or metaphorical, held it back. Of course, it's not perfect. There are growing pains. Some rural communities still lack access to the wireless grid. Privacy remains a heated topic, despite encryption protocols. And maintaining such a high-tech ecosystem in the face of global supply chain disruptions is an ongoing challenge. But what we saw in this wireless city wasn't just technology. It was a glimpse into a future where a continent often underestimated is setting the pace for global innovation. This isn't the Africa the media shows you. This isn't the Africa the world expects. This is Africa unchained from limitations, a continent writing its own future in signals and frequency, not wires and waiting. As we boarded the maglev train out of the city, silently propelled by magnetism and clean power, we looked back one last time. And it was clear, the rest of the world isn't just watching Africa anymore. It's catching up. We returned to our hotel room that night, barely able to process what we had experienced. The city had felt like a living organism, breathing, adapting, thinking. Unlike many smart cities around the world that feel cold or mechanical, this place pulsed with cultural energy. Music floated from open-air lounges, street art lit up interactive walls, and local vendors used mobile payment platforms that didn't require internet, only proximity to the city's mesh network. Even traditional markets, typically cash-based and slow to modernize, were thriving within this wireless ecosystem. Farmers, artisans, and merchants used ultra-low power smart tags on their produce and goods. These tags communicated prices, freshness, and origin instantly to buyers' phones, all without a barcode or scanner. It brought transparency to trade and eliminated corruption from middlemen. One farmer told us that for the first time, he was making more money than the transporters who used to take a cut just to get his produce to the city. The blend of innovation and tradition was striking. This wireless city wasn't replacing African culture. It was amplifying it. Local languages were embedded into public AR interfaces. Elders taught wisdom using AI-assisted storytelling walls. The past and the future weren't at odds here, they were merged into something uniquely African, something futuristic yet deeply rooted in heritage. We interviewed a group of university students who were developing wearable tech powered entirely by body heat and motion. These weren't rich students from elite schools. They came from public institutions using open-source technology, funded by a city innovation grant. When we asked how they learned so much, they smiled and pointed to the city's public education cloud, which grants every citizen full access to world-class online courses, real-time mentorship, and even lab simulations, all wirelessly and for free. Even the way people worked had changed. The gig economy in this city wasn't driven by delivery services or ride-share apps. Instead, it was powered by microtasks linked to the city's needs, a decentralized, AI-managed platform called Link. Citizens received alerts to perform simple tasks near their location, verify a sensor reading, report a water leak, test an emergency response feature. Every task completed earned crypto credits, which could be exchanged for city services, groceries, or even rent subsidies. The result? A city that pays its people for keeping it healthy. And speaking of health, this city had one of the lowest emergency response times we've ever seen. Because of predictive AI monitoring and real-time biometric feedback from residents, ambulances and first responders were often deployed before a person even dialed for help. In one incident we witnessed firsthand, an elderly man fainted in a cafe, and medics were on site within 90 seconds, already aware of his vitals and medical history through his wearable device, linked to his encrypted city health profile. Energy independence was perhaps the most mind-blowing aspect. Massive wireless energy towers, disguised as sculpture-like trees, dotted the skyline. These weren't just aesthetic, they emitted focused energy beams across the city, powering devices, vehicles, homes, and even some agriculture systems. Solar, wind, and kinetic energy fed into a decentralized grid managed by the city AI. There were no blackouts. No reliance on distant power stations. Every neighborhood generated and shared its own clean energy. And yet, this was not a city built by a billionaire tech mogul or a foreign investor with an agenda. It was a community-first initiative backed by African governments, local developers, and youth-led innovation hubs. The decision-making process for every major system, education, health, transport, and security, was participatory and data transparent. Residents could log into the public dashboard at any time to see where city funds were going, what challenges were emerging, and even suggest solutions. We walked into a community council meeting held in a mixed reality dome, where physical attendees sat side by side with digital avatars of remote residents. Language translation was automatic, facial expressions were captured with precision, and AI moderators ensured everyone's voice was heard. It wasn't just democracy, it was augmented democracy. We even met a group of young coders who had built a citywide emergency response game. It was part simulation, part training tool. Citizens of all ages could play it on their phones or AR glasses. When real emergencies happened like fires, floods, or system failures, those trained through the game responded faster and more effectively. It turned civic duty into a rewarding experience, blending gamification with public safety. But what struck us most was how ordinary people here embraced it all. To them, this wasn't flashy or futuristic, it was just life. The butcher who syncs his inventory with local delivery drones. The grandmother who adjusts her home's lighting by speaking to her AI assistant in Swahili. The child who learns physics by interacting with 3D molecules floating in midair at the public library. All of them were part of something much bigger than a city. They were part of a movement. A movement that said Africa will no longer follow in the footsteps of others. It will leap. It will lead. There are no wires holding this city together and no colonial strings holding it back. This is a wireless city in every sense of the word, free from the constraints of outdated systems, free from dependency, free to grow, adapt, and inspire. As our trip came to an end, we stood on a rooftop and looked over the glowing skyline. Not one cable in sight. Just stars above and a hum of quiet, intelligent energy below. Africa's wireless city isn't just a blueprint for tomorrow. It's proof that the future is already here, and it speaks with an African accent. We left the city with more than footage and facts. We left with a completely redefined understanding of what it means to be developed. For decades, the world has measured progress using Western standard skyscrapers, highways, GDP. But here, we saw something deeper, a fusion of people, purpose, and technology that work together in balance. Not just progress for the sake of showing off, but innovation designed to serve communities, uplift the poor, and empower the next generation. The youth here aren't waiting for opportunities, they are building them. In a city plaza, we met a 17-year-old developer who had created a real-time sign language interpreter using AR glasses. It wasn't a corporate product. It wasn't licensed by a big tech firm. It was just a teenager using free city resources, solving a real problem in his neighborhood. He showed us the prototype, and as his sister signed with her hands, the glasses translated it instantly into spoken words. In another corner of the city, we watched a group of children interact with a digital tree. Yes, a digital tree. As they touched it, the bark lit up with colors and patterns, teaching them about local ecosystems, climate change, and conservation through immersive storytelling. This wasn't a museum exhibit. It was part of the public park. Learning was literally part of the landscape. And yet, for all this advancement, nothing felt invasive. Technology wasn't shouting for attention. It was subtle, invisible, helpful, like an extension of human ability rather than a replacement. A shopkeeper could use voice commands in his own dialect to restock shelves. A street performer could trigger light and sound effects with hand gestures. Elderly citizens had access to AI companions that reminded them to take medication or helped them navigate streets safely. This city wasn't just smart, it was sensitive. We began to realize the real power of this wireless system wasn't just in how fast it transmitted data or how many devices it connected. It was in how it gave people freedom. Freedom from power outages. Freedom from bureaucracy. Freedom from systems that excluded them. We spoke with an entrepreneur who once lived in a rural village with no access to banking. Today, she runs a wireless mobile bakery connected to a supply chain powered entirely by the city's mesh network. She never had a bank account in her life until the city launched biometric crypto wallets linked to local IDs. Now she buys ingredients, pays rent, and even saves for her children's education all wirelessly, without a single piece of paper or plastic card. The level of inclusivity here is something most developed nations still struggle with. People with disabilities have full access to the city's infrastructure: crosswalks with audio feedback, elevators that respond to eye movement, information kiosks that auto-adjust based on user height or mobility. And all of it connected through a citywide accessibility cloud that learns and improves based on daily usage. And just when we thought we'd seen it all, we were invited to the city's annual Innovation Night. Held in the heart of the urban hub, the event felt like a festival, a hackathon, and an art show rolled into one. Thousands of residents gathered to witness community-built solutions unveiled live. Some were simple, like a wireless plant monitor that helps urban gardens thrive. Others were mind-blowing, like a decentralized waste-to-energy system that fits inside a single shipping container. One by one, locals took the stage, not billionaires, not suits, but students, mechanics, mothers, and artists. Each one had contributed to building something. Not just an idea, not just a product, but a living city that evolves every single day. That night, surrounded by the warm glow of ambient city light, we finally understood. This isn't just Africa's wireless city. It's humanity's wake-up call. A reminder that the future doesn't belong to whoever builds the biggest towers, but to those who build the most connected communities. That real power isn't just about speed or scale, it's about access, inclusion, and freedom. And that the next great leap in human civilization might just begin where no one was expecting it. Not in Silicon Valley. Not in Tokyo. Not in Europe. But in Africa, bold, wireless, and ready to lead. So the next time someone tells you Africa is behind, show them this. Show them what we saw. Because while the world debates what's possible, Africa's already living it. And so, as our journey through Africa's first wireless city came to an end, one truth echoed louder than anything else. The future isn't waiting for permission, it's already here, and it's rising from places the world underestimated. This city wasn't just about cutting-edge tech or dazzling innovation. It was about people reclaiming power wirelessly, fearlessly, and together. A living, breathing ecosystem where technology uplifts, connects, and includes, not replaces. Africa is not catching up. Africa is redefining the game. And the world is beginning to notice. If this is what one city can do, imagine what happens when a whole continent goes wireless. Now ask yourself, is your city ready to unplug from the past? Because the signal is clear. The next revolution won't be plugged in. It'll be African. It'll be wireless. And it has already begun.